I want to know what my son's final hours were and what was going through his head that would make him do that, you know, try and get high one last time or something. I was numb for the first 2 years. So I never had any real hate for him because I just didn't have any feeling for a very long time. As angry and mad and confused as I was at God, I knew it was for a reason. And so I just searched for that reason. So like, why me? Why us? Why Jeremy? Why this? Why Chris? And I just searched until I found the answer. And when I found the answer, it was just like a light bulb turns on. It's like, you have to forgive him. You have to forgive him, even to move forward in my journey. You know, grief can keep you in a really dark place, a really very deep, dark place. And I didn't want to stay there. And I fought to get out. And one of the steps was forgiveness. And I mean, obviously, I thought of every aspects of Jeremy's death, you know, from what I could have done better, what I shouldn't have said, what I, you know, did say, should I have put him here? Should I have done that? And then all his friends who interacted with him, I'm like, who played a part in this? You know, I know he used to use with that one. I know he used with that one. Every single component of Jeremy's life I go through. And when I focused on Chris, it was so without malice that I just really had to, and I knew I had to come to grips with the person that was directly linked to his death. I had to come to terms with that.
So we had mutual friends, we knew of each other, but I didn't meet him until probably a couple years before his death. You know, I was working at a smoke shop in Newbury Park and he came in and he saw like track marks on my arms and we just started talking, you know. He would come visit me and get cigarettes. I noticed like his family was kind of like watching him, you know, and I could just tell he had a drug problem. So I was kind of like iffy at first about it, but he just kept coming in to visit me at work, you know, so we started hanging out. I just felt like he was kind of like a kindred spirit, you know, like I could tell he isolated a lot, had a lot of depression. I definitely could relate to that. Like when you're in your addiction, when your friends are dope sick, you know, or when you're dope sick, you try to help each other out, you know, and that's how I looked at it. So finally I got to a point where I was like, I'll give you this much, $20 worth, you know, and he's like, all right. So he came over, he got it. And then I didn't hear from him for a couple days after. Actually, I never heard from him again, you know? And I didn't hear about it until I was arrested maybe a week later. You know, I was brought into an interrogation room and shackled to the table, and that's how they broke the news to me. It was shock and disbelief, and then I just thought of how I could kill myself.
He wanted to die, and he didn't want to live, and he wanted to take his own life, and in fact, he tried to take his own life, I think on more than one occasion. And I put myself in his shoes, and I just thought, you know what? He's just an addict, like my son. He's an addict, like Jeremy, and he's never going to recover with this guilt and shame that he carries for taking my son's life. And I thought, he's never going to recover with this guilt, and he's never going to get rid of the guilt unless I forgive him. And so it was just kind of a, you know, boom, 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 like this very slow reaction or realization, this very methodical realization that he's just going to end up dead and we're just going to have another grieving mother. This was probably the last person that saw my son alive. So it was kind of I don't know if you want to call it quirky or just sort of an odd curiosity to find out who he is, what he's about, what he looks like, that sort of thing. So I actually confronted him after the hearing. I was a mess.
I remember this look in her eyes when she first approached me, and I didn't know who she was. Like, I didn't recognize her at first, but I just had this feeling in my stomach, like I knew.
And I just said, I'm Jeremy's mom, and he knew, and he just couldn't even lift his head, and he just said, I'm so sorry. And he clarified some facts for me that day, including how much was the final sale, like how much did it cost to take his life. And I asked Chris, I said, so you sold him a $40 bag? And he said, no, it was $20. And I'm just like, wow, even worse, right, than I thought.
I felt like she hated me, and that was probably something in my eyes, because by the end of the conversation, she gave me a big hug. She told me that she forgives me and I need to learn to forgive myself, and this was just one conversation. First time we ever spoke. And yeah, it was something that I punished myself for a long time. I felt like the only way I could make up for something like that was to die. And the best way to do that would be in my addiction. Rose is amazing. It's not just that she gave me an opportunity to go to treatment, because when she first offered, I was between prison sentences and I said no. I didn't want it. Gradually, every time I came out of prison, I was a worse person. She actually reached out to my family, and it got to a point where one time I overdosed so bad that I went to the hospital and I was in a coma for a couple of days. And I woke up, I got sent to a psych ward, and as soon as I got out, I think my family contacted Rose at that time, and they set up an intervention for me. She would talk to me, and she was telling me how God kept me alive for a reason, and I just thought how unfair that was, that someone who had her son taken from her, the person that had the biggest part in that, got an opportunity to turn his life around, I feel like I ruined her family, and she saved my family.
Well, I feel a lot freer now. I feel and a lot more optimistic, I just feel like if we can help this one person, and we've helped a lot of other people, but if we can help this one person who is so deeply, deeply affected by Jeremy's death personally, then that inspires us. There's a whole lot of people we can help, that aren't as embedded in Jeremy's life and associated with his passing. He's probably the toughest, honestly.
Why?
Because he was so guilt-ridden and didn't want to live, and he knew Jeremy.
I want to say, I did not want this opportunity, that when I first got here, I was out of options. My family was done with me. I have pending cases. I was expecting to just die out there.
He's a boy, addicted from Newbury Park. He had his own issues growing up. And I knew that if we could help him, and I had compassion to help him, I could help anyone.
How she remembers her son is through saving other addicts that while her son didn't get the chance, she uses that as her passion to help people. And it really shows in what she does.
Jeremy's death will sort of be vindicated. If we could help one person, change one life, help one family, then Jeremy's death would not have been in vain.
To smile and actually mean it, to wake up every morning and be grateful that I woke up instead of cursing the world, I'm really grateful for that, and the person that brought me here is Rose Castro. If she didn't help bring me into the door, I would have lost everything, including my life.
Jeremy's spirit can live on in him. I hope that Jeremy's spirit gives him strength to keep going. I'm so happy for you. I am.
Thank you.
I am. He's a good boy.
Yeah. Right. It's emotional, you know?
All his family, they're like breathing again. And that's what recovery does. You know, it's not just them, it's your entire community. And, you know, this process of helping those people that need help also helps me. You know, it's very constructive in my recovery. So I guess we're all in recovery of a different sort.